You are walking down the cold neon-lit aisle of a grocery store. Your cart rolls past endless shelves, and you reach for a box of oat milk. You are making this choice because you think it is a conscious, modern lifestyle decision. Maybe you consider yourself lactose intolerant. Maybe a trendy barista told you it froths better for your morning latte. Or perhaps you read a terrifying article about the environmental footprint of raising cattle. These are all perfectly reasonable thoughts. But right next to your healthy alternative sits the regular milk. You look at it. You might even toss a carton into your basket without thinking. Stop and look at that object. You're holding cow's milk. It is a highly specific biological fluid produced by a completely different mammalian species. Its singular evolutionary purpose on this planet is to rapidly expand the mass of that exact species' own infants. Yet here it is, chilled, packaged, and happily purchased by human beings who are obviously not calves. And you will never be one. That is deeply weird. Why do humans stop nursing after childhood, only to spend the rest of their adult lives aggressively drinking the bodily fluids of another animal? You think you're making a dietary choice today, but you're actually echoing a bizarre genetic accident. In the natural order of life, a biological switch turns off the ability to process dairy right after childhood. Your digestive system rejecting dairy is not a medical condition or a modern weakness. It is the flawless ancestral default state of human biology. Your gut shutting down dairy is nature working perfectly. It is brilliant design. You're not broken. Let us evaluate the sheer yield and composition of different fluids. A dairy cow produces 40 liters of regular milk daily, while sheep milk yields barely 1 liter. Harvesting dog milk or whale milk is logically absurd. Thus, cow's milk became our primary resource. Its fat and lactose levels perfectly match our biological baseline. Conversely, horse milk contains high sugar, making it ideal to be fermented into kumis across the Eurasian steppe. Sheep milk is incredibly rich, driving the production of traditional cheese in Mediterranean cultures. Goat milk possesses less alpha-S1 casein, aiding digestion. Understanding this requires diving into evolutionary biology and ancient human history. To harvest these resources, humanity needed domestication through rigorous natural selection and artificial pressure. Early tribes practiced dairy pastoralism. 10,000 years ago, humans faced the wild aurochs. These beasts were not docile cattle. They were towering monsters. However, genetic mutation played a role as humans tamed them. They turned aggressive predators into quiet animals, providing resources for infants rather than just their own calves. When you grab a cold carton today, you forget this brutal mastery over a different mammalian species. This was survival. Soon after, cultures domesticated yaks, Bactrian camels, and water buffalo. Let us re-examine that yield and composition, because the biological baseline shifted. Relying on regular milk and cow's milk became a permanent fixture in ancient human history. We bypassed dog milk or whale milk entirely. Instead, the incredible domestication of cattle transformed our trajectory. The development of Mediterranean cheese, Eurasian steppe kumis fermented from horse milk, and alpha-S1 casein-friendly goat variants revolutionized diets. This second wave of natural selection and human-driven mutation cemented dairy pastoralism globally. Whether milking yaks, resilient Bactrian camels, or swamp-dwelling water buffalo, we conquered them all. Processing lactose became a superpower. This shift in evolutionary biology turned a wild mammalian species into a compliant supplier. Every modern carton of dairy, initially meant for calves, now fuels human infants. That is absolute dominance. Now, let us address the excluded giants in the room. Why no elephant milk? While elephant milk contains massive calories, approaching a fiercely protective 3-ton mother is a logistical nightmare. No sane human attempts that. Similarly, you cannot milk hippos. Hippos secrete a bright pink hipposudoric acid, making them look slightly comedic. But they are incredibly aggressive killers. Their thick skin secretes hipposudoric acid to block the harsh sun, not to flavor your morning coffee. Bears are literally also bears. Trying to harvest these apex predators for their rich dairy is pure logistical madness. Our early ancestors were fully lactose intolerant. To survive, they had to bypass their own biological design. Immediately at weaning, human lactase production stops completely. This flawless ancestral condition, formerly known as lactase non-persistence, means any raw dairy passes straight into the large intestine. Down there, eager gut bacteria feast on the undigested lactose, causing immense cramping and pain. To fix this, they invented fermentation. It was a crude, brilliant biological hack. Hungry microbes consumed the dangerous sugars, so our vulnerable ancestors did not have to. How did they even discover this strange resource? Think about your modern urge to mix bizarre foods together. That same urge drove ancient humans. Every hungry hunter-gatherer operated purely on raw survival instincts. When a desperate hunter-gatherer killed a nursing animal, they did not waste calories. They aggressively extracted colostrum directly from the carcass. Drinking that warm, blood-stained colostrum was not elegant dining. It was messy, filthy, and brilliant. The archaeological record proves this desperation. This early archaeological evidence shows they were tasting strange bodily fluids just to stay alive. They quickly realized that even if you suffer the initial sickness of being lactose intolerant, the dense calories were totally worth the pain. Over countless generations, this forced exposure changed us. Suddenly, after weaning, keeping that crucial lactase active completely broke the ancient rule of lactase non-persistence. Now, instead of raw lactose violently rotting in the dark large intestine and feeding toxic gut bacteria, it successfully fueled global human expansion. There is no single correct answer to which animal you should milk. It depends entirely on where your ancestors desperately tried to survive. Picture a rapid flash cut through ancient human history. An indigenous Maasai warrior in East Africa drinking fresh milk mixed with cattle blood to survive the heat, where lactase persistence first emerged as a genetic superpower. There is no single correct answer to which animal you should milk. It depends entirely on where your ancestors desperately tried to survive. Picture a rapid flash cut through ancient human history. An indigenous Maasai warrior in East Africa drinking fresh milk mixed with cattle blood to survive the heat, where lactase persistence first emerged as a genetic superpower. Then, a freezing tent on the Tibetan plateau thick with the smell of yak butter tea. Then, a nomad traversing the desert with camels. Finally, the sharp electronic beep of a barcode scanner. You're back in the grocery store? The global prevalence of lactase persistence and the indigenous cultures of East Africa, like the Maasai, prove that our biology was actively reshaped by what we domesticated. So, when you stand in that aisle, agonizing over oat milk, regular milk, or worrying about an environmental footprint, like a responsible modern citizen, you're not making a trivial choice. You're participating in the grand finale of a 10,000-year survival story. You are the ultimate endpoint of the most brutal calculated evolutionary decisions ever made by a mammalian species. Whether the barista steams your oat milk or you pour cow's milk from a carton, you are standing at the absolute apex of ancient human history. You are not a small, anonymous consumer lost in a modern paradox. You are the living, breathing result of ancestors who conquered the wild to feed their infants. The whale is not in that aisle. The whale is fine.